Hey everyone, welcome back to Two Spot Monkeys Live. Joining us here for episode number 114. We're so thrilled to be with you, and we have a busy episode today. Short on time and long on fun. It's Jim. It's Tom actually, joined as always with Jim. Jim, good to be with you. How are you this morning?
I am good, Tom. Yeah, you're Jim. I'm Tom. That'd be a different way to do this show today. Depending on how the picks go, I might want to swap. We'll see. We'll see after Sunday night. No, I was Tom. Yeah, I was definitely Tom. Yeah, it's a head-to-head. I called it head-to-head Mania as the title of this episode. We've got just about an hour to talk, and we have 3 shows to do head-to-head picks for here on Memorial Day weekend. It's a crazy weekend between these 3 shows, and GCW's got a show tonight. Impact's got a show. New Japan's got the finals of Best of Super Juniors. Like, it's almost a WrestleMania weekend, level of number of shows this week. So a lot of fun to talk about. But we're going to get right into the head-to-head. Excuse me. And our head-to-head battle. These are 3 of the last 4 shows for this segment. We always do first 6 months, last 6 months of the year. Forbidden Door will be our last show of the year, unless something gets added between now and the end of June. But I can't believe on May 26th they'd add anything pay-per-view wise anyways.
I feel like there might be some of the Ring of Honor, but we'll see.
I have been wondering, like, Best in the World, I think, feel like in the summer usually. Death for Dishonor, I think, is normally more the fall. I should know these things. I've only been a Ring of Honor fan forever.
That being said, the Ring of Honor AEW collective has a lot going on with the launch of Collision, so you may not want to add
right. And Double or Nothing and Forbidden Door and right.
Yep.
Yeah, so that could be. I saw on Wrestling Observer yesterday. I haven't scored it yet for our Fantasy Wrestling League first mention. There we go. 19 matches on the Ring of Honor TV show yesterday.
Holy cow!
Like, wow. Stop it. Make the matches mean more. Anyways, that's a problem for another episode. Our head-to-head update, though, is that Tom is, I just had it up here, 43-15. I am 42-16, so both doing pretty well. But I'm 1 match behind, and we have, I think it's 22 matches to pick here this morning or whenever you're listening to this episode. So a lot could change. I'm sure we'll be the same on many of these matches, but be interesting to see after 21, 22 matches how many differences we have. So
yeah, with just saying with that amount of matches and with the interest of our time constrictions, we may not get a chance to dialogue as much as we'd like to about some of the matches. It may just be straight picks as we go back and forth, because I think there are going to be some things we do want to spend a little bit more time on. But here I am wasting valuable time talking about what we'll talk about. So let's get right to it, Jim.
Yes, we'll spend some time talking about how we won't talk about things. I was thinking the same thing, though, Tom. Head-to-head, we're going to do these in, chronological order, although NXT and AEW are at the same time, basically. So, but WWE's Night of Champions is on Saturday. I believe it begins at 1 p.m. Eastern time, if I remember right. I think so, noon my time, Central time. Tom, are you planning on watching Night of Champions as it happens, or is Saturday, the middle of the day, just not happening for the Bobo?
Dude, well, just as you mentioned, it's a crazy holiday weekend. I don't know if I'm going to, I really want to watch Double or Nothing. I really wanted to go to the theater, but the one thing that we've actually set up solid this weekend is plans with friends on Sunday. So thanks, family, and thanks, wife. I'm just kidding. It's tongue in cheek, but it's also not that. The one, we could have easily shifted our plans to Monday instead of Sunday. It's actually going to be about 3 degrees warmer on Monday. I digress. So I don't think we're getting out of there early, so I can't just skip out and go watch Double or Nothing in the theater like I really want to. So I don't know what I'm going to see. I'm pretty sure I'm going to watch Night of Champions, but probably not live on Saturday.
And I'm going to be home Saturday afternoon, so I think I will watch this one live. We're going to start. I get the first pick because I'm trailing with the SmackDown Women's Title match: Rhea Ripley versus Natalya. This is probably one we won't have a lot of dialogue on. I like Natalya. It'll be a good match. Rhea Ripley ain't losing that title, and she ain't losing it to Natalya. So Rhea is my first pick.
Yeah, Rhea's my pick as well. Just so interesting that the one thing I'll just speak about, and we can talk about here and with the Raw Women's title, they've kept the titles by name on the different brands. Just so interesting. But maybe there's more to come. We'll figure that out, or maybe we won't. But yeah, Rhea all the way.
And I got to be honest, I don't want them to do that whole just change the name. Rhea is all of a sudden the Raw champ and Bianca's all of a sudden the SmackDown champ. Come up with something. But We'll see. Tom, you get the first pick on Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch.
Yeah, so this is one I just wanted to spend just a moment just chatting about, because I've really enjoyed the build to this, which is probably something I wouldn't have thought I would say 3 months ago. And actually, the way that Trish is coming across in her character and the way she's talking, like, it makes me dislike her so much. And it's really, really just like it's condescending, and it's condescending in just the right way for me to really dislike her. It makes sense that this match is happening here. I kind of thought maybe SummerSlam at one point, and maybe there'll be more depending on what happens on Saturday. I have to go with Becky Lynch. I could very well be wrong, but Becky Lynch is my pick.
Yeah, I've liked the build to this too, and Becky missing a little bit of time due to injury probably helped them stretch this. I agree with you. It feels like a SummerSlam match, and part of me thinks we're going to get there still, that they're going to do it again for some reason. But so the question is, does Trish win here to set that, cheat and win or something like that? Or does Becky win and Trish jumps her afterwards, or does something on Raw next week, or, along those lines? I feel like, and I could be wrong on this, I haven't gone back and done the research again, Crackpot, Two Spot Monkeys research team. I feel like the Saudi shows are a little more babyface heavy on the wins. So I just can't see Trish winning in this setting at this show. So I'm going Becky as well for the win here. But like you, won't be shocked if I'm wrong when we do our confidence points on our fantasy wrestling picks that we always talk about. This will be pretty low because I definitely feel like it could go either way, depending on what they want to do moving forward in the story. So the next one is the Raw women's title match. 3 women's matches in Saudi. They've come a long way since those Saudi shows started. As far as this goes, obviously there's lots of other political things. We're just talking about the wrestling today. But there I go, not talking about the wrestling and saying there's 3 women's shows on the show. Bianca Belair defends against Asuka. This is another tough one for me because I don't know if it's time to take the belt off of Bianca for sure. And yet, if you beat Asuka again, what's the point? SmackDown, there's some fresh matches there too for both. I'm gonna go Bianca, but boy, I don't like my picks too much here. Just because I feel like they're not getting behind Asuka. Now maybe Triple H will finally get behind Asuka like he did in NXT, but I don't know. I don't feel it. So I'm going Bianca. It'll be really good though. This is going to be another really good match, WrestleMania rematch. Yeah,
and that was what I was going to say too. WrestleMania rematch here, so that's kind of what gives this really more of a spotlight, and it's not buried is really the wrong term, I think, either way, but it wasn't buried on Backlash. So that's interesting for me. I agree with you very much. Like, where does Asuka go when she loses here? Because Bianca's my pick as well. So we're chalk across the board so far. But I really wrestle with that. And I go back to WWE doesn't have to follow both champions remain undefeated from now until next WrestleMania. But I think we both believe very strongly that the money match next year at WrestleMania is Rhea versus Bianca, and keeping them incredibly strong by having them retain their championships would really give that story a different layer. Does it have to happen? Absolutely not. Someone winning Money in the Bank and cashing in on one of them to sneak out and steal their title wouldn't be a bad thing. I'm again kind of projecting about what could potentially happen there. What I'd love to see with Asuka, actually, to be quite honest with you, with the whole situation with the NXT women's title, would be to have her actually go back to NXT. Now, granted, I know they're doing a tournament and they're going to crown a new champion. We'll talk about that here shortly. It's almost like Asuka going there and Asuka being back on the throne at the top of NXT would not only be a great spot for her to be well utilized and not get lost in the main card landscape or the main brand landscape, but I think it also would help bring up some of the ladies in NXT. I digress. Bianca wins.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see her go back to NXT. Yeah, we'll talk more about that women's division here in a little bit. Tom, you get the first pick on the Intercontinental title match. Gunther defends against Mustafa Ali.
Yeah, it's absolutely Gunther all the way. I don't know what else to say. I think, again, the build to this, the way that Mustafa's gotten this spot and some of the interplay backstage has been engaging. I've not been bored by it, but I mean, I feel like Mustafa's going to get one of those Gunther chops, and you're going to be able to see a hole in his chest. So,
there was a rumbling that I heard, I don't know, read online or something, and I don't even remember it, but it wasn't from like Fightful or Wrestling Observer or anything that I would call a reputable source, as I remember, that said there was going to be a title change in Saudi Arabia that would allow somebody to move on to bigger and better things. Obviously, this would be the thing that the place that could happen, I suppose. And Mustafa winning in Saudi would be, I don't know, placating maybe at some level. Although I would have expected Mansoor, who actually is, I believe, from Saudi Arabia. Mustafa's not the guy who's going to, I like Mustafa Ali a lot. I really do. He's very, very good. And I hope that maybe this is a showcase for him to show a little bit more what he can do, and maybe he gets a little bit more. But no, he's not the one defeating Gunther. Gunther wins. And I agree, there could be a hole in Mustafa's chest. I do think this will be good, though. I think this will be a good match. So, and maybe, like I said, maybe they'll give Mustafa a little bit. We go to our first of the 3 main events, as they're billing them. Cody Rhodes against Brock Lesnar. Some good build to this, I think. Brock just destroying Cody a couple of times on Monday night. The conversation between Cody and Triple H in the back. I kind of liked where Triple H said, "You're afraid," and Cody jumped in and said, "I'm not afraid." And Triple H kind of was like, "Hang on, you didn't let me finish. Like, you're afraid I won't clear you." Which I wasn't aware Triple H had to clear him. I always thought it was the medical professionals that had to clear somebody, but now it's Triple H. I was listening to one of the podcasts on Fightful this week, and there was some conversation of would Triple H, like in a backstage segment on Saturday, hand Cody the sledgehammer and say, "You know how to use this." A little wink and a nod back to the old throne destruction. That'd be funny. It'd be, for those of us that watch both shows, that'd be funny. I mean, Cody's got to win this, right? Like, I can't see. I know you could do Brock and then you go to the third match at SummerSlam or something like that, but I don't necessarily need a third match between these two, to be honest. If Cody wins, though, I want it to be more decisive. I want it to be the Crossroads pin 1, 2, 3, not. I didn't mind the roll-up kind of pin that we got last month, but I want this to be more decisive, if that makes sense. So, yeah. Cody wins here because I think Cody goes on, spoiler alert, our next WWE head-to-head that we'll be doing will be for Money in the Bank, July 1st, and I think it's a really good chance that Cody could win that. So, yeah, Cody.
So I'm really torn here because I've had a lot of thought here of the parallel of just the program of Cody versus opponent. And I go back to a year ago, and it was Seth Rollins. And Cody swept Seth Rollins, right? And it didn't hurt Seth Rollins in the end, clearly, because he is likely going to be the next, the World Heavyweight Champion.
The constantly.
Stop it. That's rude. That's rude. Don't you besmirch the title before it's even awarded. And so my thinking around this was, if Cody sweeps Brock 2 in a row, golly, are people going to start to pick up on that? And is that going to make people turn on Cody? And I do think that this match, while it was great at Backlash, it makes perfect sense here, but this is a fight, right? Does it being a fight give any kind of wiggle room in terms of how Cody could lose, calling for a third match where he's like, great, I gave you your fight, now give me my wrestling match. And we get that, if not Money in the Bank, SummerSlam. So I've really wrestled with that. And again, I don't know how and where Brock's history goes in terms of his WWE, status, contract, how active he wants to be. But it makes me feel like I want to pick Brock. I would not be surprised if, as you outlined, Cody does win, and I would love the wink and the nod with the use of the sledgehammer because it's a fight, and I imagine it's going to go and have a lot of plunder. I do have that one match lead. And so I hate to play with fire, right? Because one match is one match. But I'm going to go Brock. I'm going to go Brock because I think, there's more to this feud. And I think Brock has to win for that to happen. We'll see if I'm right. We'll see. Or the door gets closed and this allows us to be neck and neck. I was about to say head to head, but we are already head to head on these picks.
We are. All right, there we go. There's our first difference. You, Brock, me, Cody. I won't be shocked if you're right. It's a toss-up for me. You get the first pick in the unified tag team title match. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against the Bloodline again, but this time Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, who have pledged to dedicate this match to the greatest tag team of all time, the Wild Samoans. Avancika.
Yeah, so it's going to be KO and Sami Zayn. There's a lot of craziness in here for me, only because, again, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn have traditionally not been part of these Saudi shows for a lot of reasons, probably behind the scenes. So how they're getting them, how WWE is getting them here is probably more of what I'm like, whoa, that's crazy, than anything else. I do love the interplay between it being Roman and Solo. And if they were to win the titles, to kind of like, again, continue that burning issue between the Usos, and then it would set the Usos up to be amazing challengers at some point to Roman and Solo. But again, Roman is the undisputed WWE Universal Heavyweight Champion, or whatever he is, whatever that title is called now, whatever the titles are called. There's got to be that's where his bread and butter has to be, unless they're saying, hey, let's backburn that title because we want to spotlight the new title that's launching. If that's the case, then them winning the belts here would make a lot of sense. I just don't see that. I see the Usos being the reason to cost them. And it's going to look indirect, but it's also going to look direct. And then, Roman's going to be even more infuriated because he did dedicate this to the Wild Samoans. And he's going to feel like, as the head of the table, the tribal chief, he's disrespected the bloodline, but he won't take accountability for that. It's going to get shifted to the Usos, whether deserved or not. So Owens and Zayn retain, and I think they've been doing a good job of building up other challenges for them as they move on, I think, from being involved with the bloodline.
I mean, the problem with Roman and Solo winning the titles is Roman only appears about once a month, maybe every 5-6 weeks sometimes. You've already got the Universal title that doesn't get defended. Are you going to have the tag titles not defended now? That becomes just a logistical problem. It could storyline wise be good, unless Roman's going to hit the road more often, but it sure doesn't sound like that's happening. I mean, he's got the deal that everybody would take if they could. Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Usos are there. I think the Usos, and maybe at the beginning of the match, we're told that the Usos didn't make the trip, and then all of a sudden they show up, kind of thing. And I agree with you, kind of that looks like it was a mistake, but was it? Kind of thing. And I thought it was interesting that Kevin Owens said when they win, they're dedicating their win to the greatest tag team of all time, the Usos. So there's a little, they're kind of trying to talk some sense into the Usos in this whole thing. So KO and Zayn win, but this is going to be really good storyline and match wise. Fun to see Solo, continue to get really, really big chances here on big shows. We go to one of the three main events, or the main event, as I see it, the WWE World Heavyweight Title decision match, the finals of the tournament, Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. This is going to be really good. Two guys that are some of the best, two of the best in the world as far as in-ring stuff and character and all that good stuff. I mean, sure, you could have AJ win it, and then it's like, well, he's on SmackDown. What are we going to do? Which is the whole point of not having SmackDown wrestlers in this tournament, which we've talked about before on this show. Seth Rollins is winning this title. AJ will have a couple of hope spots. And here's one of those matches where, even though I 100% believe Seth's winning, if they can make me believe for a moment, like, oh, I think AJ, are they actually going to put it on AJ? Like, that'll be cool if they can do that on Saturday afternoon. But otherwise, not a ton to say. Seth's winning.
Absolutely. All the way. It's Seth Rollins. And again, if they do decide to go back to Cody and Seth, Seth now having a title and Cody wanting a title would be, very interesting to watch.
I like that. I just don't want Cody winning this belt first. He needs to beat Roman.
I agree.
Because otherwise it looks like you created a title for Cody because you didn't want to take one off Roman. So yeah, I like that Cody's not in this match too. And I think we kind of talked about that before. So through Night of Champions, we have one difference. Brock and Cody is our one difference in Night of Champions. We're going to move straight into, I just decided we were going to do Battleground first because that feels, AEW feels bigger. I can tell you that I plan on buying the pay-per-view on Sunday night and watching Double or Nothing and trying to watch Battleground on Monday if I can. We'll see. Both myself and my wife are off Monday, so
benefit of a holiday weekend for sure.
Right. Because otherwise, our Battleground wouldn't get watched probably, and it may yet not because there might be a big honeydew list on Monday or something, and I may not, get a couple of hours to break away and watch Battleground. We'll see. NXT tag title match, first and foremost. Mark Coffey and Wolfgang Gallus defend against the Creed brothers of Brutus and Julius Creed. And Tom, you get the first pick here. I was trying to remember the order we were just in.
It's all good. It's all good. So yeah, I am super out of touch on NXT. It's been
you and me both.
Okay, good. Well, then good. I'm glad we're hopefully picking blind together. And yeah, I literally the thing that's been cut from my watch list over the last few weeks has been NXT, just because Raw and SmackDown and AEW have been really my priority. So I really don't know all that's going on storyline wise outside of a few things. I am excited about this match. Gallus seems to be the team that won't go away. And the Creed brothers seem to be the team that really deserve to be in the spotlight. So what happens here? Do you finally give the Creed brothers the titles back because they were previous champions and having them overcome Gallus, or does Gallus kind of remain strong? Because that's been a staple of a lot of titles in all of WWE, regardless of WWE or NXT. It's stronger, longer reigned champions. So literally, it's a coin flip for me. I'm going to lean Creed brothers, so Creeds win the titles.
Yeah, this is one where it's, now we get into the strategy, right? Like, I'm in the same spot of kind of flipping a coin. So do I want to pick Gallus and try to see if I can make that match up, or do I play it safe? But actually, I was leaning Creeds as well. The NXT tag division feels like it's kind of in a reset mode right now. Indus Sher moved up to Raw. Pretty Deadly moved up to SmackDown. I may be forgetting one or two other tag teams that moved up as well in the draft. So it feels like it's kind of a resetting in that tag division a little bit. And these are two of your linchpins that you're going to build around now in that tag division. A little surprised the Creeds didn't move up, to be perfectly honest, but they're here. So, that we just pick it the way it is. I think you reset with the Creeds on top. Gallus could always win them again. That's fine. I agree with you. Gallus is kind of the team that just doesn't go away. They're good though. Like, this would be four guys just beating the tar out of each other. It's going to be fun if I get a chance to watch it. But yeah, Creed. I think it's Creed. We move on to the Heritage Cup title match next. Noam Dar defends against Dragon Lee. Noam Dar's good. I like his character. I'm glad he's over now in NXT. I think there were some visa issues, which is often the case with folks. Dragon Lee had that same problem. He didn't debut for a little while longer than they had hoped because of his own visa issues. That brought in the Heritage Cup. They've kind of been explaining how that works. You got to put Dragon Lee over here. Like, I feel like Dragon Lee is just, they can't get him going because they keep beating him, which is stupid. You got to put him over Noam Dar here, right? Come on. Put him over, put the cup on him, fine. I'd rather a bigger title on him, to be honest, but there's time. You can keep doing that. Excuse me. Dragon Lee is my pick. I think this would be fun. It's been a long time since I've watched a Heritage Cup or a Heritage Cup match, because I really didn't watch UK when that was a thing, and I've been really behind in NXT. So Dragon Lee it is.
Yeah, my pick is Dragon Lee as well. For a lot of the same reasons that you mentioned, right? Like, I just don't know why you keep beating him. Like, you brought him with some incredible pomp and circumstance. I get the stand and deliver match and how he was there, but I felt like from that, you should have really just put a rocket on his back, and they didn't. So hopefully this is the re-rocketing here on Sunday night.
Yeah, come on. It's Dragon Lee, guys. Last man standing match, Ilya Dragunov versus Dijak.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same idea here. Like Dijak has been so underutilized for me, right? And I recognize there's been some gaps, but I think back to like 2019, 2018, and how he was like one of the rising stars alongside, the Keith Lees and other people, coming from that like indie darling evolve kind of mindset. Um, he actually, to me, would have been someone that I think would have been more of a benefit if he had been drafted. I seen him on Raw or SmackDown right now in like a mercenary role or just being in a bigger spot would have been the move to me. The fact that didn't happen.
Something like they started with Bronson Reed when he first came back. That would have been,
yeah. Yep. So all of this being said, like this sets itself up for Dragunov to win. I think. I hope I'm right on that. That's my pick. It seems like he's the baby face. He is the baby face, I believe.
Doesn't seem that way. He is, yes.
And so Dragunov to get the W here.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. This will be really good. I like both guys a lot. So I'm glad to see them getting that they've had a program, and I like you. I've seen bits and pieces of NXT. I haven't watched a full show in quite a while. Again, this is where I go Collision. Now I got 2 more hours. I can't even get NXT watched. But I like both of these guys. Like I said, I like that they've had a program. I tried to follow it as much as I can, reading the results and that sort of thing. Ilya wins though here, and hopefully moves on to some title contention or something next, whether that's the World or the North American. I could, either one would be fine with me. I think he would make a good challenger in either case. So Ilya gets the win, and what I expect to be a really good match. And honestly, on Battleground, could be the match of the night without a whole lot of, I wouldn't be shocked at all if this is the match of the night. So we move forward to the North American title match. Wes Lee, Tyler Bate, and Joe Gacy. Because I haven't followed things, this feels so thrown together for me. And that's probably more a me problem for not following it. Those who watch NXT regularly might understand this coming together better than I do. So I'm not taking Shawn Michaels to task at all in setting this up. It just feels like, hey, let's get these 3 guys on the show for me. Wes Lee is kind of the champion who won't go away. For me, I like Wes Lee, but I also look, and Tyler Bate has not clicked for me. I don't know why. I think we've talked about this before. And Joe Gacy, I like the character work, and he's good in the ring, but again, I don't see him as champ. So I think Wes Lee wins this one and keeps the title. I just don't have a real push for either of the other 2 guys to feel like they're going to be the ones to end this title reign. So I think it's Lee.
So I felt Tyler Bate in about 2019, coming out of the match he had in Chicago for NXT with Pete Dunne, was one of the top 5 wrestlers in the world. And since that time, and a lot of things have happened in the world, we know, COVID obviously being the paramount thing, have prevented him from having the opportunity to show what he can do. I would love a singles of Wes Lee versus Tyler Bate. Give them 25 minutes, give them 18 minutes. They would tear the flipping house down. So it's disappointing that we got Joe Gacy. Nothing against Joe Gacy. I think he's a fine like anchor to a match. I don't mean anchor in a way that weighs it down, but like just to provide some stability. And I think we're going to see that on display here without a doubt. But I do think he's the pinfall eater. I do think Wes Lee wins, and I would really love and hope to see Wes Lee, Tyler Bate down the line. I also think a number of other guys who will win or could win on Sunday will potentially be challengers for Wes Lee too.
Tom, you get the first pick in the NXT Women's Title Decision match, also a tournament final. We got 2 tournaments ending this weekend here with in the WWE sphere. Lyra Valkyria versus Tiffany Stratton for the NXT Women's title.
Yeah, so arguably maybe surprising finalists for this when you think that Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade and JC Jane and Gigi Dolan were in this. Clearly, JC and Gigi have unresolved stuff, so them being here in one spot or the other wouldn't have made a lot of sense.
Did you see the match that's scheduled for next NXT?
Are they having a weaponized cage match?
Yeah,
is that
cage match?
Yeah,
right.
I didn't know that it was them, but when you mentioned that, I was like, okay, I saw that there was a weaponized cage match. Those two, probably with the issues going on, make the most sense.
Yeah.
So Tiffany Stratton, I think, is a future superstar without a doubt. It's too early. It's too early for her now and here. But does NXT feel the same way? Does Shawn Michaels feel the same way? And then also, do we fall into the old school pro wrestling trope of you have to have a heel who has a title, so baby faces chase them and go for the title, and you get interest from fans. If that is what we do, and if that's what's going on, Tiffany Stratton is the right choice. I'm really struggling with that. This is going to be a low confidence point pick for the fantasy league pick'ems. I kind of think in the same way with Dragon Lee, there's similarities with Lyra and how she's been brought in, with some of this kind of like giving a little bit of elevation, bringing down. This could be that full elevation. And again, maybe she wins the tournament and doesn't hold the title long, which wouldn't be bad. This is less of a coin flip, actually more of a coin flip for me. I'd want to probably flip like 10 coins to kind of really help me figure out. I'm going to go Lyra. Not super confident about that. Only just because I don't think Tiffany is ready to be in this spot yet. Soon, 6 months from now, 9 months from now. But what do I know?
Interesting, because for me, this is a high confidence pick. So it's interesting that we flip. The minute this tournament got announced, I believed it was Tiffany Stratton's to win. And I that might have been noticed because I picked Tiffany Stratton up in our fantasy wrestling league. And so I think it's Stratton all the way here. So we've got our first difference here on the NXT show. And maybe our only, I'm going to guess, as we move forward to our last match here in a little bit. But yeah, this one I think is Stratton all the way. I think I do think it's her time. She is massively improved in the ring since she first started, and she's got the character down. I really like the character work. I didn't like Tiffany Stratton when she first came in. I was like, oh, this character is not going to last. And hey, to her credit, she's more than lasted and has gotten better. And I agree with you. She is a future main roster superstar. There's a couple of women in that division right now. Roxanne Perez, I think, is a future superstar as well. I think Lyra Valkyria can be. And I agree with you. They've kind of started and stopped with her, and I like her a lot. So I'm glad to see her here in the finals. I thought she might be, just when I looked at the tournament bracket. I had, of course, I moved Stratton all the way to the finals. And as I was looking at the baby faces on the other side of the bracket, I was like, because I kind of figured you were going to go babyface heel. I was like, Valkyria makes some sense. Because I couldn't see Tiffany Stratton and Cora Jade. That's just two heels. Although I think that would have been good, and I would have loved to see Cora Jade there because I like Cora Jade a lot. For me, it's Stratton and Stratton all the way. So there's our difference so far in this one. And then we go to the NXT title match. Carmelo Hayes, Braun Breaker. You can't go back to Braun at this point. Maybe you go back to Braun some point down the road, but not now. Carmelo wins. There's not a ton I can say. It'll be a good match. I'm looking forward to it. It wasn't quite what I had hoped for at Stand and Deliver, so maybe this is a chance for them to up it a little bit, up the game. But Carmelo Hayes. Yep,
it's Carmelo all the way from me here as well. The real interesting thing will be where and what does Braun Breaker do after this, because clearly he lost the title, is back, and then now he'll be moving down. So where does moving down take him?
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think both of us kind of expected him to get drafted, actually. So, and not say he can't still show up on the main roster here in the next little bit. It's not like the draft is the only way to get called up. So there we go. We've got two differences so far throughout the head-to-head Mania here. Cody and Brock at Night of Champions, and Lyra and Tiffany at Battleground. So that's fun. At least we have two differences. So there's a chance I could take a lead, or we can say the same, or Tom can just bury me, whatever. We'll see how this all works out. But now, with a little bit of time left here, we've got AEW Double or Nothing. Tom, I have a little bit of a spoiler alert in the first match. There is a slight change to one of the matches that gets announced on Rampage that I read. Are you okay with me spoiling?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Tom, you get the first pick on the first match, which is, if the Hardy team wins, Matt controls Paige's contract. It's Matt Hardy, Jeff Hardy, and now Hook. Brother Zay is injured, I believe in just storyline from when Ethan Page did the chair around the neck or whatever it was. So Hook gets announced as their partner versus Ethan Page, Austin Gunn, and Colton Gunn. There is also a trios title match that gets at least teased on Rampage that might get announced. But since they haven't announced that officially, we're not picking that one. Because maybe it doesn't happen. Maybe it happens at, Dynamite next week or something. So, but anyways, sorry, spoiler alert for anybody listening. If you're listening to this before Rampage, I don't think it really is going to affect anybody's enjoyment. Hook comes in instead of Brother Zay.
Yeah, Hardy's and Hook for me. I don't really care about the control of Ethan Page's contract. I think it's the opposite of what they were doing when the firm controlled the Hardys and Private Party. And the Guns have clearly said we want the titles back. So Guns rebuilding themselves to go after the winners of the tag team title match. Spoiler alert, I believe that's FTR. Them being involved here. Right, yeah. Them being involved here is a little goofy, but there is back crossover with Page and the Guns with when the firm originally launched, even though the Guns didn't kind of like stay with that vibe. It was clearly like Stokely, Page, Big Bill, and Lee Moriarty. Matt Hardy is a pinfall eater. Don't get me wrong, but Jeff Hardy ain't taking a pinfall. Hook ain't taking a pinfall. Ethan Page losing, or the Guns losing for this, and that could see the Guns abandoning Page, right? So then Page, is under control, but he works to be a babyface. I don't know. We'll see. Color me moderately interested in this in general compared to other matches on this card.
I'm assuming this might actually take place on the buy-in, which would make a lot of sense. I didn't care about this when Ethan Page controlled Matt Hardy's contract. I don't care about how Matt Hardy's going to control Ethan Page's contract, but there it is. The Hardys win. Hardys and Hook get the win. And I continue to not care about this storyline because I got to be honest, I don't care about what the Hardys are doing at this point. I just don't. And I haven't ever been a big Ethan Page fan. We've talked about that before. I don't know why he doesn't click for me, but he doesn't. The Guns are getting better, and I kind of like Hook, but yeah. TBS title match. Up next, Jade Cargill defends against Taya Valkyrie. After saying Lyra Valkyria a minute ago, now I have to say Taya Valkyrie. Names are a little... Vince would never let this happen. Well, that's two different companies, but Jade Cargill versus Taya. Taya could make some sense to be the one who defeats Jade Cargill. I could see that, but I don't. And I don't. Yeah, I'm still not sure who the person to beat Jade is. There was conversation at one point that Chris Statlander was going to be the one before she got hurt, and I would like that. And if you want to wait until Statlander's able to come back, which sounds like maybe will be in the next few months, I'd be good with that because I think Statlander is worth elevating in that way. I don't think you need to elevate Taya Valkyrie like that. So yeah, Jade gets the win here. Even though Taya being able to use Road to Valhalla, it seemed like that could be because she had her beat, but then couldn't use the move the last time. I don't want that, so I'm picking Jade.
Yeah. So the story here is when she hits that, like the near fall and the pop, right? That's really where we go with that. Jade, absolutely. This gets Jade to 60-0, if I'm not mistaken. She's 59-0 right now.
Yeah, because I think they tried to get to 60-0, and then Taya came out and interrupted it, right?
It was interesting. I think Excalibur said it on Wednesday. They were like, will Taya be the one in 60-1? And like, bro, she's not 60-0 yet. She'd be the one in 59-1. But I digress. Excalibur is amazing, and for all he does, the man is killer. So Jade all the way here.
Yeah, I love when they say things and you're like, hang on, that's not how that works. She can't get a win and a loss at the same time. Tom, you get the first pick on the AEW International Title 21-man Blackjack Battle Royal. Orange Cassidy, and I do have the picture up here, so let me just give you all the participants real fast. The Butcher and the Blade, Dustin Rhodes, Bandito, Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta, Commander, Kip Sabian, Ray Phoenix and Penta, Juice Robinson, Lee Moriarty, Big Bill, Tony Nese, Ari Daivari, Brian Cage, Swerve Strickland, Ricky Starks, Jay White, Keith Lee.
So the way they've been building Orange Cassidy by having just an amazing winning streak and fighting through adversity, if they take the title off him here, it's going to really feel like you swirled pickle juice in your mouth to do mouthwash. So I'm going Orange Cassidy. I want Daniel Garcia. I want the rematch from what they gave us in Detroit. I wish that's what we were getting instead of this. I understand why we're getting this. It makes sense in the Vegas tie-in. Yeah, Orange all the way. And he needs to lose as a single. He needs to lose one-on-one, not in a battle royal.
I'm with you. It's Orange, and for all the reasons you just said. The whole he's barely getting by. Sure, you could have him lose, but losing a battle royal. I mean, I suppose you could have him last, and it's him and I don't know Jay White at the end or something, and White, over throws him out because he's so exhausted because now he's gone through 20 other people or 19 other people at that point or whatever. Sure, but that would suck. So don't do it. Yeah, I think Orange wins here, and maybe whoever Orange eliminates last sets some sort of program up for him that maybe is the person who ends up beating him. And somebody like a Jay White would make a lot of sense to be that person down the road. Or Daniel Garcia, but Daniel Garcia is not in this match, so I can't predict that. So yeah, it's got to be Orange. But this will be fun, and I'm glad to see that they got a couple of kind of names in there too. That it's nothing against the Butcher and the Blade, but obviously neither of them are winning it. But we've got Keith Lee, we've got Jay White, we've got Swerve Strickland, we've got Penta and Ray. There's some people in there that you're like, well, they could put the belt on that person. That would, Ricky Starks. So I like it, but Orange win. The AEW women's title match, Jamie Hayter versus Toni Storm. This will be really good. And of course, Hayter beat Storm for the title, for the then interim title that later got, rechristened just the straight women's title. So there's storyline here. There's obviously storyline between the originals and the outcasts and all of that kind of stuff. I still think eventually the money match is Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker. Even though watching All Access, Britt Baker says she never wants to be the champion again, which is interesting. And I don't think we get towards that anywhere close here. But I don't think Hayter loses the title. I think Hayter is still coming into her own even as champion, even though I think she's done really well. And I don't think it's time to take the title off of her. And this isn't the time for Storm either, even though I like Toni Storm a lot. So Jamie Hayter's my pick.
Yeah, totally agree. This actually could be the match of the night straight away. There's a lot of good matches on this card. This could easily be the match of the night though. But Jamie Hayter retains without question. Yes. And again, one thing, and we always like to do this because, sometimes when there's unknowns, the unknown of Collision coming after this event, right? We really don't know who's going where, if we are going to get a brand split, let's call it that. Maybe it's not a brand split, but right, like who goes where, right? Does Jade end up on one and Jamie on the other? And I'm saying that as those being the champions now, but it's really the titles. But yes, Jamie retains.
Annette did just comment in and said Jamie Hayter is legit injured, so that could play in. Maybe they do swap the title here. We'll go ahead and keep our picks, but we'll just keep that in mind. And if Toni does win, make sure we'll give Annette credit next week on scooping us.
We know who Annette's picking in the fantasy league pick'ems.
I believe we do. I believe that could be true. Tom, you get the first pick on the TNT ladder match championship. TNT championship ladder match. There we go. I can get it in the right order. Wardlow defends against Christian Cage.
It's Wardlow, and I could not care less. Like I know we've talked about this so many different times, but like imagine a year ago with Wardlow and with MJF, and then what happened on the Dynamite following when Wardlow cost MJF against Punk, and how Wardlow could have been amazing, and like literally it's been nothing but sporadic farts ever since that time. So like I feel bad for
t-shirt sporadic farts.
I feel so bad for Wardlow because I feel like he should be more, in my eyes, bigger than he is. And maybe it's just my eyes. Maybe I'm looking at it through the wrong set of glasses. Yeah, like gross.
Yeah, it's Wardlow for me as well. There'll be some shenanigans with Luchasaurus and where it looks like Lucha's going to take Wardlow out and Christian's going to win the title because that's, of course, Christian's plan. But somehow Wardlow or maybe Arn Anderson spinebusters Luchasaurus. I don't know. That'd be a big boy for him to put up and bring down. I kind of like the Wardlow and Arn Anderson pairing, to be honest, because Wardlow needed something. And I like Arn trying to kind of toughen him up or, get him where he needs to be. I wouldn't mind seeing Arn actually lead a group of, I don't want it to be the New Horsemen or anything, like that. But of young guys that he sees a lot in or something. And not like, I know he was with Brock Anderson and Brian Pillman and, not that young, but like the Wardlows, I don't know, there's probably some others, the Ricky Starks, the young guys who are just on the cusp of really elevating to that next level. I think Arn could do some good there. But yeah, Wardlow. The unsanctioned match with the biggest WTF was that from Sabu is the special enforcer or in Adam Cole's corner, depending on how you read what AEW puts out. Because I read the tweet. It says Sabu will be in Adam Cole's corner for the unsanctioned match. And then the graphic says Sabu special enforcer. So I guess he's a special enforcer who's in Adam Cole's corner. I don't know. And I don't care. We didn't need Sabu here. Like
Tony Khan loves ECW.
He loves ECW.
Whenever things like this happen, you just have to remember that.
Yes. And he loves, and okay, I don't agree with Bully Ray on a lot of things about wrestling, to be perfectly honest. I read or see clips of him from Busted Open, and there are just things that I don't agree with Bully Ray, and that's fine. We have different, tastes and that sort of thing. But he said Tony Khan likes to do surprises for the sake of surprises, and they've kind of lost their luster a little bit sometimes. And this is 100% that to me. Sabu doesn't fit in this story. I mean, yeah, he knew Chris Jericho from ECW, okay. But I'm sorry, when you think ECW, you don't think Chris Jericho. I know Jericho had a run there. I understand that. But I don't think, you say Chris Jericho, I don't think ECW. You say ECW, I don't think Chris Jericho.
So Adam Cole, did you watch Dynamite? Have you been able to see it?
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
No, I've read about it.
Just to give you a little context, Adam Cole said he idolized Sabu growing up without naming Sabu before he came out. So just there's that. And what was the other thing? They said he's from Las Vegas. So apparently Sabu lives in Vegas now. So again, why those two things should matter, you can take them as you want them, right? But they are trying to make some continuity connections there.
And I'll give him that. I would have rather seen Sabu as like the Joker, if there was one in the Blackjack Battle Royal, like have him have an appearance, he gets eliminated, cool, whatever. Oh, that was fun. It was Sabu. Yeah, this match didn't need this as it may be part of my thing. I understand you're looking for, Adam Cole's trying to even the odds, but he's not, because he's still only got Roderick Strong and Sabu. So unless Kyle O'Reilly's going to make an appearance, which would be really cool, but it sounds like he's a long ways away, if ever, from coming back, unfortunately. Or Bobby Fish comes back or something. Like, the odds still aren't even. All right, but I've spent all my time talking about the special enforcer instead of who I think might win this match. Adam Cole has to win this match, period. Like, I can't see Jericho winning this. I feel like Adam Cole, man, you could strap the rocket to this guy. He's been over like Rover always, but since he's been back, even more so over, I feel like. And of course, with his head injury, the concussions and all of that, and the way that they documented that on All Access, for those of us that did watch that show, with it being an unsanctioned match, I think there's going to be a number of spots where we go, like, is he okay? Britt Baker is going to chew her fingernails right off her hands probably during this match in the backstage area, and she'll probably get involved at some point because I think that's cool that they've incorporated that. But Adam Cole gets the win. Yeah,
Cole absolutely wins, and this doesn't end on Sunday night. And again, Cole winning gives Jericho all he needs in terms of ammo of going, well, you didn't beat me in a real match. That's kind of the record. Yeah. I'm still the Ocho. So yes, Adam Cole all the way.
Yeah. I'm still the Ocho. Tom, you get the first pick. I think this will be one we kind of move through pretty quickly. AEW tag title match. Mark Briscoe is the special ref. FTR, though, defends against Lethal and Jarrett. Briscoe did he slap one of the FTR guys? I think
he slapped Dax. He slapped Dax on Wednesday. Right. Yeah,
and Dax pile driven him the week before. So
yeah, it's FTR all the way. I mean, and then hug Mark Briscoe at the end. So that's you go get more popcorn or go get another soda. Nothing against FTR, right? But like,
no, FTR is great. Just couldn't care less about Jay Lethal or Jeff Jarrett. And that's unfortunate. Tony Khan, don't flip these titles. You're a moron if you do. I'm sorry. I know he doesn't listen to Two Spot Monkeys, or I don't think he does, but FTR. Yeah, FTR is my pick as well. And let's just move into something that I think we'll spend more time talking on, even though we are quickly running up against our end. Anarchy in the Arena, the Elite of Kenny Omega, Matt Jackson, Nick Jackson, and their newest and returning member, Hangman Page, against Blackpool Combat Club of Moxley, Danielson, Claudio, and Wheeler Yuta in the match that, frankly, I think could main event this show and might deserve that spot, but I don't think obviously will.
And you get first pick.
It's my first pick. Yeah, I don't know why I'm just sitting here waiting. I feel like this is a coin flip. I feel like you could go either way on this because it's been built so well and both teams are so strong. Like, I don't know if there's a pin. We talk about okay, that guy's there to take the pin. Like, which of those 8 do you? I don't think there's a pin eater in the match. This is going to be crazy. I think the interesting thing is going to be, does Takeshita get involved at all in this? Because at one point, I thought maybe he was going to end up as the 4th guy on the Elite side and turn or something like that. And that he might not be the 4th guy, obviously, because Hangman Page is, but does he get involved at all in this? This is going to be good. And like I said, this is the match I'm looking forward to most on this show. And it's probably not close. It feels far more important than the world title match to me. And I'm sorry to say that, but it just does. I got to make a pick. I really wanted you to pick first. That's why I just paused at the beginning. I'm going to go with the Elite. And I won't be shocked if Blackpool Combat Club win this. And I don't necessarily think this is the end, even though Anarchy in the Arena feels like it should be the end. Or it might be the end for now. This is something you can come back to time after time moving forward, because these are 8 of your absolute best. And I'm putting Wheeler Yuta in that. So if we want to just have fun, I'm going to guess Yuta eats the pin because that would be the one that makes the most sense out of the 8.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome. Again, building on last year's Anarchy in the Arena, which was BCC versus JAS. That was awesome and unbelievable. I expect this to be also awesome and believable, probably actually topping last year, which is probably amazing to even think about because it was such a crazy spectacle. The Elite is my pick as well. I do think they have to win here because I think it's the story of them finally overcoming all of what Blackpool has said, but Blackpool has been amazingly believable. I loved. You have to go watch the Moxley promo as part of what BCC did. He wasn't the only one delivering the promo, but his words and the way that he delivered it in comparison to how he's spoken before was so strong that I love it. My wondering here is, where do both of these groups go next if this ends on Sunday? I can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, no, like I said, probably the thing I'm looking forward to most out of these 3 shows. If I get to see all 3 of them, this is the match I'm looking forward to the most because they built it so well. Tom, you get the last first pick. The world title 4 pillars match. MJF defends against Jack Perry, Darby Allin, Sammy Guevara.
MJF retains the title without a doubt. I will tell you this. I am really surprised that the person I care most about as a challenger in this is Sammy Guevara. If you would have told me 2 months ago that you would care most about Sammy Guevara as being the challenger of all 3 challengers, I would have said, yeah, right. But I actually do. I care less about Jack Perry. I just don't feel like it's connected with me. Darby, I love Darby Allin. I actually think Darby Allin is one of my favorite wrestlers. If you were like, hey, name your top 10 favorite wrestlers, Darby would easily be in that. But I feel like he's lost something from me. And I think this actually has exposed that more than anything, which is really weird. And I haven't given that enough time and thought to really articulate it. But that's how I feel as we speak this morning. I hope I don't continue to feel that way, but it's how I feel today. There's no way that they remove the title here. That has to, in my opinion, happen in a singles match. That has to be someone who will be really elevated by that. It could be one of these 3 down the road. It's just not Sunday. The wondering and the major thing for me will be, who is the person that loses, and how does that happen, and where does that take us next? I always think about that. So when we do come back and we have a chance to speak on what transpires on Sunday here, I'm going to be really eager to go, okay, now I see.
Yeah, and and how does this maybe play into anything at Forbidden Door and all of that? And MJF is my pick too. They talk about the 4 pillars, and I feel like the 4 pillars is something they talk about and then they don't, then they talk about it and then they don't, and then all of a sudden we got to this storyline and now it's the thing. I don't think this should feel bigger than it does to me, because it's the 4 pillars, it's the people they were building around. Maybe they just didn't wait long enough, I feel like, for this match. Yeah, there's just no chance I see any one of those 3 guys winning. I agree with you. Sammy's been the most likely. If you gun to my head, I had to pick somebody to win the title other than MJF. Yes, Sammy would be my pick from the way they built it. So they've done a nice job with that, but I still don't feel like there's any chance, like less than 0.0001% or something like that. Like, yeah, Sammy ain't winning. So it's MJF. So for me, but I think it'll be a good match for really strong in-ring wrestlers. So from the in-ring stuff, it's going to be really good. It just is a foregone conclusion. Hopefully, again, they get some of those good, hope spots where you have that moment of like, holy crap, they're going to do it. And then you're like, no, of course they weren't going to do that. So there it is. We have 2 differences across 20, however many matches we picked. I think 22.
22. Yeah.
And, we have Cody and Brock at Night of Champions, and we have Tiffany and Lyra as our 2 differences across 22 matches. Crazy. So we will know, well, we were going to know Sunday night anyway, since NXT is running head-to-head with AEW, which is really freaking stupid on their part, but at least they're not a pay-per-view. They're on Peacock, so it's not like it's going to hurt them money-wise on it. So I did see Shawn Michaels said they most likely won't do that again. I'm like, you think? Was it a bad idea, guys? But maybe you should have thrown it in the afternoon. Just saying, no football to go against. You could have done it. Anyways, so there they are. Those are our picks. We will be back with you soon. Are we back next week, Tom? I don't even know. We haven't looked at the calendar. So
yeah, we got to chat offline.
Okay, we'll chat offline. So
it will be soon.
It will be soon. We'll be back and talk to you about all these picks and all the goings on in the world of pro wrestling. Everybody have a great week. Enjoy a whole bunch of wrestling this weekend, or none if you don't get a chance to see it, whatever it is. Enjoy what you're doing. We'll talk to you next time on 2 Spot Monkeys Live.